I like to overly do it. It makes me excited, you know. All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back from lunch, and welcome back to the County Commission. We love having you all here with us. Before we start, before we start, Mayor Sturmer has said that he thinks that he has a proposal that we all might agree to, and he said that we could be done in 10 minutes.
I believe so, and the cities believe so.
Absolutely. Let's hear it.
We say that half a penny for transportation, county gets 100% of it. Half a penny for infrastructure. Cities get all of it for the first 25 years. In year 25, cities get 60% of it. County gets 40% of it. Year 25, we do away with the TTM, and we do away with the 60% bonding requirement.
Well, I guess let's discuss that. Commissioner Ryan, would you like to jump in?
There was a lot of there was a lot.
Weston's speaking. Hold on.
Is
Weston, yeah, Weston and Pembroke Pines. The TTM and the bonding would be on day one.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
So this would be a variation of the proposal that I had presented, that the cities would have the half penny for 15 years, and that it would go 60-40 for the second 15 years. And it's a proposal that the cities have the full half penny for 25 years, and that the county have it for 5 years. Again, it goes to simply the amount of operating and capital that is necessary for our transportation objectives, and based upon the information that we had received from staff that had no factual statement or observations or any data to contradict that information, it does not come close to achieving the expansion of rail to the west. So I would object to this settlement proposal. Again, I think that after working very carefully to look at the numbers, it was quite a reach to go from 10 years, from the third compromise offer on the allocation to the fourth compromise offer, to go from 10 years at 50-50 on the penny, and then 20 years to the county at 60-40 on that half penny, to go to 15 years, stretched to the very limits of what the county would be able to do. And because of that, it did scale it back, but it scaled it back to the last, and in my view, manageable number that we can work with on transportation. So that's my analysis and reason that I would urge the members not to accept that settlement proposal from the cities.
The next on the queue is Commissioner Holness, but before that, Mayor Sturmer had something
I just wanted to clarify something and ask you all to remember the presentation that actually was made yesterday and the conversation of light rail that, through your administrator, said you could do the downtown out to the downtown with the airport and the extensions that were in the yellow, the blue, and the magenta with your half penny. Oh, I'm sorry, the yellow and the blue without the magenta, because that was the in-process one, before you swung west. The question is, what year were you going to swing west? Probably in the 20s. So this is when that money would become available to you. If you're talking about you need the money because of the concentration to build light rail to go out west, that's when this money would become available to you to work with your ability to pull down federal dollars. I just wanted to clarify.
Thank you.
Yesterday your presentation from staff.
Thank you. Commissioner Holness.
Yeah. I think we really haven't moved anywhere. But let me just say this, that let me clarify and make sure the people that I represent understand where I am, because I got a call earlier. Rail going west, depending on where it goes, but I believe that it ought to go at least to Tri-Rail, and it ought to expand up to the area of 7th Avenue and Sistrunk Boulevard, or preferably Power Line at least. We can use rapid bus systems for the rest of the way. We don't have to necessarily do rail all the way out, and probably will take years anyhow before we get there. But if we're going to build a system that doesn't provide for rapid bus system and additional systems along or very clogged roadways, Oakland Park, 441, We need more buses there. And the folks in the communities need to ensure that there is some expansion of or community bus service so that they can get a closer tie-in, especially seniors who are not going to be able to make those long treks to get to a major bus terminal or transit center. So as it is now, what we have will not move the wave from downtown. It won't go to Sistrunk and 7th or 9th Avenue. And that area certainly needs economic development just as anywhere else in this county. The folks in that neighborhood need to have transportation and transit system just as anyone else does. So this proposal is not going to get us there.
Commissioner Bogan.
Mayor Sturmer, let's make a deal. We were talking earlier about cutting this at 20 years, and you said no, 25, 20 years. So let's just say 20 years you agreed to cut this, which you're not. I understand you're not. So anything after that point would be gravy. So why can't you consider a 60-40 after 20 years instead of 25 years? You could pretend to think about that a little and put a frown on your face and make it look bad.
I believe, first of all, to start reducing the number of years.
No, a 30-year deal.
Wait a second. You
Okay.
asked me to say we were talking about something else.
Sure.
And I said on behalf of the cities, just so the rest of the commission is aware, the cities were prepared to negotiate and agree to a 25-year sunset. I just want the Board of County Commissioners to, since you've heard the cities haven't negotiated
Right.
and sought compromise, which is abundantly not true. We offered before lunch to reduce the term to 25 years. My understanding is that actually impacts your side more than our side with regard to your O&M and operating your transit system. So I'm not sure that's actually good for you.
When did they agree that? Before lunch? Oh,
There were conversations had, Vice Mayor.
outside of the meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
The problem becomes, once we start reducing numbers past a certain point, cities have an issue with bonding, and as the conversation we had before lunch, at a certain point, once you get past a certain period of time on a 20-year bond, that's where the problems occur. Every city has a different financial picture. So therefore, the more we shorten things, it impacts different cities at different points in time. It's that simple. At least 25 years lets cities in the beginning and through a decent period of time move through their programs before it also dovetails in at year 25 with what your light rail construction plans may be to get out west. That's what we understand, since there's, according to your plans, they don't exist yet.
Can I interrupt you?
I'm done.
So I would be open to a 30-year deal, as you have it, and after 20 years, it goes to 60-40, a little different than we were proposing 70-30. You said 60-40 after 25 years. I'd like you to move it up to 20. I still think that might make us short on what we're looking for, but still provides us more revenue to try to accomplish some of our goals. I think we can walk out of here with a deal, because I'm sure that the other commissioners voted 50-50. Certainly you would support that, which would be a better deal for the county, and I would be considering that deal.
Are you prepared to do away with the 60% bonding requirement from the beginning?
I'm not prepared. I'd have to talk to council on what that would mean.
Well, one at a time. One at a time.
The 60% limit was placed in there at the suggestion of the experts because it's an extremely volatile tax. What the cities have said is their own bond counsel and finance advisors will amply control the amount of bonds that they can issue. The 60% was a rough and conservative estimate of a good place to bond, but if the cities wanted to take on more debt than that, then that's a decision that you all can make.
Commissioner Bogan, do you have any more? Oh, okay.
There was just one other point that Drew was making, which is at one time all the money was, well, the transportation money flows entirely through the county, and there was a point at which the money would have been flowing, the infrastructure money would have been flowing through the county, and it was an additional protection for the county.
Yeah, the 60/40 was, excuse me, the 60% limitation was put in to the transportation ILA because all of the proceeds were flowing through the county, and the county was concerned about liability. The surtax money would be flowing directly to the recipients, so as long as they're getting an opinion from bond counsel, and that's required in the agreement, there probably isn't as urgent a need for the bond limitation.
That's what we're trying to say, which it is a reduced risk now.
So then you would agree with Mayor Sturmer on that point?
It's a business decision, but from a legal standpoint, we don't believe it's a compelling interest to keep the bond limitation in there.
Okay? And the next point?
Do away with the TTM.
What does that mean?
The transportation, and mobility issues came from an offer by the cities to provide certain kinds of road and related infrastructure that, although are not part of the regional system, would benefit or connect to.
That's the 13%, correct?
The regional system, that's the
So,
13%.
but we're giving up 13, is
It
that?
really doesn't have anything to do with the regional system.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, it would benefit the regional system, but it's really city improvements.
My guess is you're going to get the improvements anyway. You're going to get them anyway.
And that you're talking about on year 20, when it reverts to 60/40 to giving up the TTM, correct?
No, TTM and the 60% go away now. Now. You want money on year 20? I want to get rid of the bonding capacity cap now and the TTM now.
You know, I don't know the significance of that for the county, so I don't want to be speaking of Commissioner Wexler and Commissioner Furr. I don't know, if you've thought about it, and Commissioner Kier. Right, I mean, I don't know if that's going to be detrimental for the county, and I'd like council to chime in and our administrator to chime in.
We could also ask Ms. Henry as well, if you think. Oh, you did? I'm sorry. I didn't hear you say that, Mark.
I don't think that that's detrimental to the county because, as he said earlier, the county, that those improvements were on the city network system. To the extent that there's something that's occurring on the county's network that could assist with the city and it was the city's option to participate, that would be fine.
We're married. Of course we would do it.
Almost. We've been eloping for a while now. Let's see. Mark, do you have any
I'm
more?
an SOB. I didn't bring one. I forgot.
It's not, do you have any more comments besides those two issues?
Nope.
Okay.
You wanted to negotiate? You got it.
Well, I'd like to bring it back to the commission.
Great.
to talk
Commissioner Wexler.
Okay, let's keep in perspective that for 15 years, the wave has been on the drawing board and a vision and a vote of this commission for 15 years. The first spike hasn't gone into the ground yet. So thinking long-term for rail, just to get it, yeah, you got it? Yeah, spike, rail, yeah, okay. But
Not the golden ones.
back then, who would have thought that 15 years later that we're still talking about it and that it's not operational yet? So just to give us the reality check of how long it takes, how long it absolutely takes, and if we think that for 1 minute that wherever rail is, that we're going to fund that without federal or state help, that should never be on our horizon. It should always be in partnership with the federal government and the state, particularly the feds. So moving something forward that makes sense today is my ultimate goal, as it sounds like it's many of my colleagues' ultimate goal, because what we have in front of us, potentially on the ballot, is not healthy. We'll leave it at that. So, Mayor Sturmer, may I ask him
course, absolutely.
specificity? Then, and have you had an opportunity to go back to anybody?
All of them.
So you have, so you've already, okay,
Yep.
flushed this. So.
We had a meeting in our office.
Was that the
On the
men's-
other side of the wall.
The men's room or the
The other side of the
family-
wall.
No, the family
Your video people had to
restroom.
walk through us to get into their office, but yes, we
I
use.
see Councilwoman Starkey is still here, and a few of my other friends, Becky and others. Yeah, so you would have to have used the family restroom.
Something like that.
All right, the 20-year horizon of this infrastructure, with 100% of that generated funds remaining with the cities.
Correct.
Because part of that proposal is that the ceiling and the floor be gone. That 13% piece, which is the TTM, be gone, right? And we are going to, but language is still in there, Joni?
Oh, Drew can get rid of that in 30
Language would still be in there regarding your use
No,
for,
no,
but
everything related to it would come out. The TTM comes out, it comes out. We're still going to build the projects that are going to supplement the system because that's where they're going to be anyway. You're going to get what you want without the requirement.
well,
You want to say we're going to build projects
yeah,
and there's
no,
no,
no, no,
and
no,
there's no percentage ascribed to it? Okay.
no, I think that I'm willing to walk away from a requirement of a number, of a percentage, but I think that the spirit of what we're going to do together needs to be acknowledged in the ILA
I have no
somewhere.
issues with language that says the cities will endeavor to perform
Exactly.
with no obligation to
Exactly.
do so. I'm okay with that.
With no obligation to do so. Well, that's
With no
a nice-
financial
that's-
obligation to do
That's
so.
a nice spirit.
I'm trying to say, because I want to say there's no obligation to do it if when it happens.
Well, the word endeavor, the word strive, the word may.
I'm
the
fine with
word-
those.
You know, those are words
I have
that
no issue
are
with all of
not a requirement.
I'm happy
I
with
read
all of
enough contracts, so I get that.
Use all of them. Yes, Drew can do it.
And he's my friend. Imagine. Okay,
Yes.
deep breath. Bonding requirement, I'm taking that information from the experts because that is way out of my forte here of knowledge. So if we don't think that anyone is going to be in jeopardy or risk, and we can waive that, eliminate it, fine. And then the remaining 10 years would be a 60-40 split, 60 for the cities, 40 for the county?
Correct. Yes.
The other way around?
No. The statutory split is 60-40 in favor of the cities. We'd revert to the statutory split. That's a conversation I had with you back there.
I knew that answer, but I needed to make sure if we were going to be beyond the statutory.
No, we're prepared to go to the statutory split on year 20. All or nothing.
No, that doesn't make sense. We were at a 50-50 before, right?
When
No,
were we at 50-50?
no,
We
no,
were never at
no,
50-50.
no, no,
No.
Mark, for
Correct.
their half of a penny, we were at 13 before. So now for the remaining 10 years, we would be at 40 of the half a cent, which is really 20.
You were never at 13.
Excuse me?
Well, hold on. If we
Yes,
can,
sir, we were.
we don't,
The allocation was 60-40 in my proposal after year 15. She just mentioned 13. 13% is the obligation to spend on transportation out of the infrastructure funds that were going to the cities. So 13% didn't have anything to do with the allocation between the city and the county of the penny.
I love everybody, but I would appreciate if you all would go through the chair.
Commissioner Bogan asked a question about the percentage previously. I thought you were talking about the 50-50 deal that was the compromise deal. So that's the only thing I feel comfortable responding to. The floor on that, or the minimum requirement, was 13% of the city's portion of the infrastructure. Now, with what you're proposing, it looks like it's up to 40%. So, did I say something that's inappropriate? Because if it is, please correct the record.
It really is a function of how you look at the 13%. Under the proposal that is under discussion right now, the amount that would be allocated to the cities would be 60%, and it would be 40% purely for the county. Previously, the 13% was already city money It was just a limitation on how it would be used.
It was a commitment from the cities to spend it on projects that directly or
Mobility.
indirectly connected to or benefit the regional transportation system.
Right.
Language was right?
Dan, if you would go to the chair too, I'd appreciate it as
Sorry.
well. Thank you very
Apologies.
much. Like I said, don't treat me like that in Westonville. You
Come
know,
on by.
Okay, so I fully understand what's in front of me, and I'd like to hear from the rest of my colleagues. Thank you.
Commissioner LaMarca.
Mayor Sturmer, you mentioned that you had a meeting in the family restroom outside the wall with all of the cities,
With those that are here.
those that are here. Okay, so I see my mayor from Pompano and was some of the folks from Deerfield Beach. Is there anybody here from Lighthouse Point, Sea Ranch Lakes, Lauderdale by the Sea, Hillsborough Beach, Oakland Park, or Fort Lauderdale? I know Fort Lauderdale was here, but
I can only speak to who's
so
here.
that's 75% of the folks that I represent are not. I mean, have you spoken to them? Do you have communication? All right.
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Myers made a comment that the legal language was okay, but it's a business decision. Look, I want to get there. I mean, I look at the faces, I see the folks that I work with every day, and I don't have an adversarial relationship with anybody, except for maybe one of the folks in my own town, believe it or not. But literally, we're friends. We talk to each other at events and all that. I want to get there. This negotiating on the, to me, negotiating at the 11th hour here, and I know we've kept moving the clock, and I'm appreciative that we all want to try to get something done. It just seemed, I'm going to listen, and if there's some way I can jump in, I will, but it just seems like there's movement, and then there's confusion as to what was really said or was going on. So I'm going to listen and leave it at that. I just wanted to see if you were able to speak with the other folks that are not here.
Mr. Mayor, if I just may clarify something that may help the discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you.
In response to Commissioner LaMarca's question, the people I asked the question of were the city managers. I specifically asked the business people that run our cities whether they could, from a business perspective, live with this deal.
I
And
understand.
and I just wanted to be clear that
Okay,
I just didn't ask the electeds because.
I appreciate you clarifying that, and that's who I'd rather you ask, to be honest with
That's
you.
who I
And
Yes?
but any of those from those 8 cities?
I got who I got.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor Sharif.
Okay, so I talked to a few of the city managers from my cities when I was driving. And my understanding of this, Mayor Sturmer, is that you have gotten a general consensus that whatever you guys decide today as a whole or as a majority, that the majority of the cities that you have spoken to will go along with. That's the understanding that I received from my city manager. So whatever decision that you come to today, most of the cities who are having these meetings are going to agree with that, right?
Yes?
That's the simple answer to Commissioner LaMarca's question, is what I was trying to get at. Okay, so for me, I need to make sure that I do have clarity on the second part of the offer, and that is when the 20, at the time that the 20 years comes up, you're saying that we have our 50, you have your 50 up to year number 20. On year number 20, of your 50, you're going to allocate 40% of your 50 toward transportation
No,
projects?
no. We are going to allocate to the county 40% of the infrastructure, half a penny.
Got it. So then at that point, we would.
And it's year 21.
Right. I know, we get to 20 and then, right.
I just want to be clear.
That's fine. Okay, so you're going to allocate your half penny, 40% of your half penny back to the county.
Or it will come directly from DOR.
I don't care what.
Let's
Let me make sure we're clear.
Yep.
All right. So basically, Commissioner Bogan, that would be in our favor to kind of complete some of the other higher dollar projects that other people were concerned about. I don't think we're going to ever get it 100%. My goal here today was to hopefully come out of this with a collaborative agreement where we both would be able to work together toward trying to get it passed. And I think that that's a pretty good compromise, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor Sturmer. Thank you to the city commissioners and mayors that are sitting out there, and thank you to the attorneys.
Commissioner Holness.
Thank you.
I will.
So basically, Commissioner Ryan's proposal was at 15 years, we would get what is being offered now.
No.
At
Commissioner
20
Ryan's
years,
proposal-
at 20 years. But you're taking from that, well, at 20 years, it's, of the penny, 70% would be going to the cities, I'm sorry, to the county, and
that's-
30%, and he was proposing at 15 years, 70% goes to the county and 30% to the cities, of the whole penny.
What would be the whole, yes, what would have been the whole penny, yes.
Okay, I know my calculations.
On the whole penny, yes.
Yes, on the whole penny. So, but you're taking out that 13% upfront that would be dedicated to transportation that would help to feed into our system. I don't think that we really move much on that. We're pretty much 5 years later, and you're taking what you said you would do anyway. So if you're going to do it anyway, you said this is stuff you're going to do anyhow. So if you're going to do it anyhow, let it stay in.
It will stay in, it's just not going to be a requirement. You're going to get it done.
Well, you see, when you deal with contracts and negotiations, you don't leave to chance. You shall endeavor, will try, and all of that, at the end of the day, has no enforcement whatsoever. So you say, I tried. Doesn't mean a lot. Here's another thing that I talked about when this came up at the MPO, and I'm reminded of it at lunchtime. The allocation is per population.
Yes, it is.
Which I guess it's not a bad formula. It's probably the easiest one for you to figure out. It's not as there is needs. And for some of the smaller cities that have huge needs, they're not going to be able to utilize, they're not going to get enough, in my mind. You take a small city like West Park and Pembroke Park, Lauderdale Lakes, Dania. At a certain point in time, larger cities that might not have anywhere near the amount of needs that needs to be filled will have money to build a new city hall, even though they don't need one. So I have a concern, a deep concern about that. And I know that it's not, I mean, it's on the cities, yes, but they're all a part of Broward County. And I am convinced that if we have the funds earlier, we will fill where the needs are greatest first. That's what we do.
Mark Bogan. Oh, Commissioner Bogan. Bogan. Bogan.
Look, I'm prepared to change my vote, my position on this. I think it's a better deal than what we had. I think leaving the status quo as it is of leaving 1.75 on the ballot, as Commissioner LaMarca pointed out, it's a 20-something%, 29% increase in our sales tax, is not something that's good for our county or voters. I'm prepared to move this forward, and I think the county attorney is going to need to advise us of, I need to make a motion to rescind, I'm sorry, motion to, oh, it's on the table.
we
Okay,
can speed it
good.
back up.
I'm prepared to move this forward and get this thing done.
It
Right,
has to
with-
be with a new amendment.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can get it done. The, before we vote on it, Commissioner Furr asked to speak, and then we'll take a vote.
Okay. I can support this, because I think with regard to the bond, your bond council is going to determine what's going to work and what's not. I've just run the numbers myself. It actually
May or may not be accurate.
Yeah, I know. That has about a 50-50 chance of being right as well. But there's no harm on either side. It's actually a wash. Except for we may end up getting the infrastructure more when we need it. But the numbers are actually the same. You know, so it's not so it's fine. I think it becomes up to us. I hate to see the TTM come out of it, but it just means that we have to be more compelling in what projects we put forth, and to make more clear where there's room for partnerships, where there's room for support, and where there's a need that is understood by cities and county, that we work together on that. And that means we have to put forth a compelling plan to do that. So I am willing to support this.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And if I can ask Ms. Coffey, so that means we take back up items 4 and 5.
You can take up 5 first.
5. So this would be, basically, this has been an agreement to amend the ILA. So, item 5.
No,
Yes.
ILA is item 7.
No, the ILA is item 5. Item 7 was the ordinance that we're going to.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm the only one that hasn't spoke. I'm going to speak very briefly, and I'm just going to say that I also fully support this. I'm glad that that we came to a compromise, and it appears that the votes are definitely here. And it's important because what this means for the public is that right now there is a 1.75%, I guess 1 penny plus 75 point, you know what I mean, almost a 2-cent increase on the ballot, 1 3/4 on the ballot, where if it would pass, the sales tax would increase from 6 cents to almost 8 cents. What this does, this will repeal that, and the cities tonight are going to start their meetings to repeal the resolutions that they passed to put their proposal on the ballot. And what this will mean now was, instead of having a sales tax that could potentially go up to almost 8%, 8 cents, if it passes, it would go up to 7 cents. So with that said, Commissioner Bogan, would you like to specifically state your motion?
I want to first state that, again, I'm opposed to raising any taxes, and I'm actually opposed to, just as an individual, I want to just make sure I'm on record, but as a point of compromise, my motion is to, well, we have the motion already on the table, right?
Are you okay, Ms. Coffey, with the
my
motion?
My motion is just to amend the years between 20 and 30, the county would be receiving 40% of the half penny of the cities.
Would you like for me to restate the motion?
Yes, that would be
for the
great.
record? That would be to
Ms. Coffey,
approve,
what can you say?
approve item number 5. That would be the Commissioner Ryan version, because it has certain provisions in it, as amended as follows. It would eliminate the contractual bond cap of 60%. It would eliminate what we call TTM, municipal obligation for transit, transportation, and mobility, and would contain a pledge of good faith efforts to cooperate in funding regional transportation facilities, and we'll figure out some other words for that. And then most importantly, the infrastructure tax would be paid for the first 20 years directly to the municipalities pursuant to the formula that's in the interlocal agreement. After those 10 years, so beginning in year 21, the infrastructure tax would be divided 60% to the cities, again pursuant to the population formula. The 40% would be allocated directly to the county for infrastructure purposes. All of infrastructure being obligated to capital funding only.
Mayor Surma, that you fully support that, and the cities fully support that?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So starting tonight, you're going to start repealing the resolution.
As soon as
And-
we,
Yes, this must be contingent upon cities representing 50% plus 1 of the population repealing their resolutions.
and support, and approving the ILA.
And
agreeing to
approving
support.
this.
There's going to be resolutions to rescind, to approve, and support.
Excellent. So this will not go into effect and will not be provided to the supervisor of elections until that contingency has been fulfilled.
What's the deadline on that?
Well, a lot of them are having their meetings at 5 o'clock.
Was it?
So can we hurry up?
Okay, we can. There has been,
Mayor, before?
Yes.
Let me just mention one thing about the deadline on this. Presently, the ILA has a June 24 at noon deadline, as do items 4 and 7, public hearing item 7, for repealing the municipal resolutions and getting everything on the ballot. If there's more time, I would like to be able to modify that, but with an end point.
Okay.
If June 24th at noon is the last we've heard from the supervisor formally, then we should leave it, I suppose, at June 24. If there's any more room, if you need it,
I happened to bump into the supervisor during the lunch break, and she orally told me, as she has told some of you, we have until the middle of July. She would work with us. Again, her words. But I saw her whenever we broke, I bumped into her outside of her office, and she said to me, I said, we're still working. She says, I appreciate hearing that. You have until the middle of July, and I didn't say, can you send me an email that says that? I take the supervisor at her word that if, when we were done with this meeting, representatives from the commission and your office went down there and said, it's coming, she'll get the space.
Commissioner Ryan.
All right, if this interlocal agreement receives a majority of votes, then as to the deadline that County Mayor speaks to, which is the deadline for both the cities and the county to withdraw the ballot measures that have already been submitted and accepted by the Supervisor of Elections, I agree that saying that we would have a deadline by noon this Friday would be too early. Based upon the conversations that have been articulated here, why don't we put a deadline of June 30th, and that's to next Thursday, to get a final decision for the cities, and the county would understand that the county's current three-quarter penny proposal that we'll take up next, item 4, if it is to be withdrawn, it's withdrawn simultaneously with the cities withdrawing their penny infrastructure tax ballot question. So if you're acceptable to that, Mayor Sturmer, and if the members are acceptable, I think June 30th provides adequate time to make the revisions with respect to the technical language on the interlocal agreement, and also to get definitive decisions by a majority of the population of the cities of Broward County.
Mayor Sturmer.
We appreciate that. It's my understanding, based on the meeting scheduled, we may be in excess of 50% by close of business tomorrow.
Great. Actually, so with that said, there has been a motion? Mogen?
It was moved and
It was moved and seconded?
second,
Okay, so there has been a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. What?
wait a minute, Commissioner.
Oh, Dale, did you want to speak? I'm sorry. I didn't realize you wanted to speak. We can. So all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Show the item passes on a 5 to 3 vote. We're married.
Announce
Excellent.
the commissioners who voted against.
It's been the commissioners in support.
Start buying gifts
Can we raise our hands
tonight.
one more time? Commissioners in support are Commissioner Furr, Commissioner Wexler, Mayor Kerr, Vice Mayor Sharif, and Commissioner Bogan. Commissioners opposed are Commissioner Holness, Commissioner LaMarca, Commissioner Ryan, and that's it. Excellent. So now let's move on to the next one. What do we have to do now?
Next item would be
Go to item
number
4?
4.
And would somebody like to move item 4 as amended?
Marty,
Yes.
if I may just.
Of course,
make
absolutely, Commissioner
Make a quick statement. I'm not going to support a regressive tax that adversely affects low-income people, seniors in our community on fixed income, unless provisions are made to ensure that they're fully beneficial of what we put in place. And I don't see that here. So I can't support it.
Okay. Sure. Actually, before Commissioner Bogan, Commissioner Ryan was first on the queue, then I'll go right over to you after Commissioner Holness is finished.
So we take up item 4 is a motion to repeal item 4, repeal the ballot question, the three-quarter penny for transportation that's already been submitted to the SOE. I think the way we want to deal with this, if the county attorney has it correct, is we will vote today to instruct the county attorney or staff to withdraw that ballot question, the three-quarter penny for transportation, if the cities simultaneously withdraw their penny infrastructure ballot question, and that this action will take place no later than June 30th of this year.
Yes, that's Section 8 effective date, which will be modified to June 30.
All right, so that would be my motion.
Commissioner Bogan. Sure. The Commissioner Wexler.
Yeah, but the motion was actually a motion to amend that resolution, so don't we need to make what we voted on in the ILA this amendment?
This is drafted so that it replaces your 0.75%
Exactly.
to a half penny. There's no reference to the ILA in here. We set it up that way on purpose, but it doesn't go into effect until the ILA is adopted by a requisite number of cities and the municipal resolutions have been
Okay,
withdrawn.
so number 5 was the ILA.
Correct.
number 4 was always the intent to amend the 3/4 of a penny. So by
And it does.
removing that, which is the motion to remove that, the actual language that's going to go on the ballot is where?
Is
In
one
the
half-
ILA?
It's both in the ILA as an exhibit and in section 5 of the resolution,
Which is number 4.
which is number 4.
Exactly, that's why I'm saying I don't know that,
It's a half penny. It just doesn't.
okay, that's why I'm saying it's it's amending it, it's not,
In section 1, eliminates the prior resolution.
exactly. That's
So
all
when the-
I'm trying to get to
When the prior
is-
one is eliminated, the half penny is substituted. It has no reference to expenditures.
Exactly,
And then, but it doesn't go into effect until
after.
the municipal resolutions have
Right.
been withdrawn and the ILA
Right.
is effective.
That's not what I heard my colleagues state. I heard that it was removing it, but it didn't give me the second part of it, which was to
Replace it.
replace it, exactly.
I agree with Commissioner Wexler, that's how I heard it as well.
Well, section 1 actually does replace it because it supersedes it and replaces it.
Okay.
Section 1 of the new resolution says, subject to the requirements of section 8, which is the effective date clause, this resolution amends, supersedes, and replaces in full your 0.75% resolution.
And it's replacing it with the language that Commissioner Bogan proffered a few moments ago.
Well, actually, it simply replaces it with a half-cent sales surtax. All the things about expenditures are wrapped up in the ILA.
Okay, as long as you keep us kosher, I'm good.
We've worked a long time on this
Withdrawn.
with City
Okay.
Council.
Commissioner Holness has withdrawn his second. So what do you
So what do
recommend?
we have to do?
Pass number 4
As
with
amended.
the
As
June
is.
30 date.
Okay, is there a motion to pass number 4 with the June 30th date? There's been a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Show it passes, are you yes or no, Chip? You're no. Show it passes 6-2. Okay, I think we're good. Oh, do we still have to take up the item number 7?
7.
So let's deal with item number 7, which I would hope we would just reject. So is there item number 7 is the motion to consider the ordinance.
There are meetings at 5 o'clock.
Is there a motion to, I guess, to reject item number 7?
I have if I may, Mayor,
Yes.
there's an explanation.
Of
Now,
course.
I've heard a lot of sentiment at the board today, something to take no action or to vote down the second reading, the public hearing item, which is, okay. But there is a remote chance that the cities would not adopt the ILA and remove their measure. So you have a contingency decision to make. Do you put a county version of 1% on if the cities don't adopt, or do you put nothing on and let the cities proceed? That's your choice.
I think I think in a good faith, to show a good faith, I say we put nothing on and let the cities proceed. There's been a motion to remove the item. There's been a second to vote it down. All in favor of voting down item number 7 signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? It's unanimous. Show
Thank
it
you,
has been
everybody.
voted down.
Mr. Mayor,
8-0.
the only thing, and only because we need your signature, there are certain meetings that start this evening to take up this item at 5 o'clock.
I can start signing it now.
I just need you to conceivably start signing some documents as soon as Mr. Myers hands them to you.
Sure, absolutely.
On behalf of the cities, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for collegiality, and we look forward to the next 30 years. Thank you.
And I also want to thank you as well again, Mayor Sturmer and everybody that's here. Thank you all for hanging out with us.
Mayor
And,
Sturmer?
let's move on.
I want my ring. That's what I want. I want that ring that you keep promising.